This was no ordinary press conference. This was the press conference that we had been waiting for. This was the press conference where he couldn't really dodge anymore. Now, he tried, but still. If you watch the 6 p.m. news, like the majority of people, and that's just the reality, in Melbourne tonight, you got a sliver of the information. You were supposed to be more impressed that he stood there for 90 minutes and took questions, a barrage of questions, as both simultaneously the reporter for Channel 7 and Channel 9 both thought the most interesting thing he had to say in 90 minutes was the bit where he used their name in answer to the questions. Now, let me tell you up front, that is a media management trick. Politicians use it, knowing that the vanity of the TV reporter is often what will stand out above the news value of what they are talking about. So, if they ask a controversial question, you use their name in the answer, and then you make the answer as positive as possible, and guess which of all of the things you said they run on the 6 p.m. news? That's exactly what happened tonight on Channel 7, exactly what happened tonight on Channel 9. But right here on Sky News, we are going to do something that will probably annoy some. It'll certainly annoy the Andrews camp. I want to actually show you minutes and minutes and minutes of this press conference, and I want you to see what they didn't see tonight on Channel 7 and Channel 9. I want you to see tonight what they didn't read about on Twitter. I want you to see tonight, in almost real time but live before your eyes, how a politician dances despite the fact that there is no excuse. It's open and shut. Victoria is shut down. Melbourne is locked in its house because of the decisions of the Andrews government around hotel quarantine. You know that, I know that. Sadly, people have died as a result of those decisions. That's why this matters. Right now, tens of thousands of people have lost their job because of those decisions. And right now, there are people who will need a permit to go to work tomorrow, if they're lucky enough to have a job, because of those decisions. So because we don't have a fluffy animal story that we're going to be getting to later, or some sort of network cross-promotion, I can actually show you what happened today. Roll the tape of the Premier being asked the questions that he should have always been asked, but has dodged for way too long, about the mistakes that have seen Victoria on its knees.
The former Justice Code yesterday said there's no general restriction or prohibition which would prevent a person from commenting publicly on matters which are the subject of court of inquiry. Can I ask you, when were you first notified of issues with the hotel quarantine system?
Simon, it's not a question of being legally prohibited. No one's ever asserted that.
Hang on, stop it. The problem is that is exactly what has been asserted. It may not have been asserted by you at a press conference, Premier, but it was asserted by the Health Minister of Victoria. Now remember, 2 days ago she refused to answer questions in Parliament. A day ago, by the close of business, she hadn't given the written answers to who knew what and when about hotel quarantine. It was only after the close of business that eventually the messages came through. And guess what? On all three of the key questions, the only written answer was there is an inquiry currently underway into this situation. So that's exactly what your government is doing right now. Anyway, press play.
I'm accountable because of the job I have. I'm accountable for any mistakes and all mistakes that are made. I've never shirked that responsibility. I've never moved so much as an inch away from that responsibility. That is the role that I have. I will own those errors. I will be accountable for those errors.
Yep. Oh, that's disappointing. I was ready to go for a whole 10 minutes. He's just basically resigned, hasn't he? If he's ultimately accountable for the decisions of his own government that have put their own citizens under lockdown for 6 weeks, that have killed oh so many people in their community, that have put tens of thousands of people out of work and hundreds of thousands of other people who are forced to work at home, you would think there is no worse example of public administration, no worse example of a government failure that results in you having to resign. Any questions?
Hang on. In terms of challenges with hotel quarantine, there were a number of outbreaks in a number of different hotels, and I would have been made aware through outbreak reports and through other reports along the way.
That's the whole point, Premier. Who made the decisions? When did you know that those decisions had become failures? That's the whole point of this. And you don't need a judicial inquiry to work that out. Someone somewhere gave an order. If the order came from the Premier, well then you know when you gave it. If it came from a minister, then the person who received that order will know when they got it. So let's turn around and do a process that doesn't even take, as I say, an inquiry. Let's go and find the lowest ranked person in the system and get them all to dibber-dobber up. I reckon that'll take about 25 minutes before eventually we will get to the head of a department, the minister or a Premier. Anyway, continue.
Hang on. The important point of principle here is that you know the answer. The former Justice has said there's no legal impediment, so surely today's the day to just tell us exactly.
No, well, John, if I can put it to you, I don't know the answer. That's why we're having a judicial inquiry.
You didn't know?
Well, we can all talk over each other, or we can just do one at a time. So, Raf, and then we'll go over to this side.
Oh, OK. So what's your strategy here? When it all got a little bit out of control, you go to Raf. Who's Raf? The bloke who does one of the radio shows on taxpayer radio, the ABC in Melbourne. He'll help out.
Do you know the answer to who was supposed to be training the security guards?
Damn it, Raf, you were supposed to change the subject. Play.
I think there are multiple agencies that had oversight. Well, again, this is the key point. If I were to conduct an inquiry and then present my findings, I think you would rightly be critical that should have been an independent process.
I'm just asking if that's clear to you, which department had the sort of lead role with that.
It is not clear.
It's not clear. So you haven't asked anyone? Now, he claimed today in this press conference that the first actual time that he realised that the hotel quarantine system had fallen over was after there was an increase in coronavirus cases in and around, well, Melbourne. And they said, well, where are all those back connected? Apparently the chief health officer, dreamy eyes, told him that most of this goes back to hotel quarantine. So that was a few weeks ago. He claims that is the first time he knew about problems in hotel quarantine. So again, you have to say that even when he knew about that, he'd pick up the phone straight away and say, well, hang on, who the hell put this shit show together? Who decided this? Who did that? You're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. But of course, he didn't. He kept it going for days and weeks and local suburb lockdowns and we're trying to do our best here and we're pushing it off to the inquiry. Which means he won't say who designed this system. He won't say who is responsible for this system. Because ultimately he knows it ain't going to be great for him. One more time.
Does that mean that you're already accepting that decisions that were made by you and your government have led to, we're talking dozens of deaths now? Your government is responsible.
Well, Alex, how you term it and the commentary you want to put on it is a matter for you.
You slippery bloke. It's not commentary. It's cause and effect. It's action and reaction. Lack of action. People die. Your decisions, or lack thereof, mean the entire state is in lockdown. Literally told they cannot leave their house but for 1 hour for exercise or 1 hour to go shopping. There are people on home detention who before this pandemic would have had a better deal at home. But because of the major media that covers most of Victoria, if you were watching television tonight, you saw the Premier using the name of the reporters asking the questions, not the lack of answers to the questions that they were asking. You will see in coming days that his defence against all future questions will be that I stood there for 90 minutes today and answered all of your questions. No, you just talked. You didn't answer any questions. As you've just seen in this tape tonight, I don't know when I first found out. I don't know who put the system together. Do you believe him? Well, either way, if he's turned around and said, and he got his headline tonight, the buck stops with me. You betcha, Dan. And not because it's politics, but because action, reaction.